Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Cucchiara, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Cucchiara.
Jack, how you doing?
Pretty good. I have to tell you, there's a lot of people talking about whether there's really a bubble, both in the stock market as well as in the real estate market. I don't know what you're seeing, but people are just saying it's amazing what's been going on in both markets. And you would think there would be some correction, but it's just not happening yet. I don't get it. I don't get what's happening.
I don't know. We've been talking about this for a while, and they both have gotten so frothy. The stock market and the real estate market, just because I'm looking for places in San Diego, I'm spending more time on the foreclosure sites. But I'll tell you, it is amazing when you have access to all the foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, the notices. They start tracking once people are late for 2 or 3 months, I guess.
Right.
And amazing. I guess I just didn't have any frame of reference, but I'm astonished at how many places are in jeopardy right now. Not in $2, $3, $4, $5 million homes, too, in some cases.
Right. I sent you one that was in Burlingame. There's a couple of them in Burlingame. But are you getting what's called the blue sheet in Santa Clara County? There's something.
No. How do you get that? No.
Well, there's a guy that actually goes to the courthouse and he's automated it now. I don't know whether he's getting the data electronically, but years ago, he used to go by hand to the Santa Clara Superior Court and look up published notices of default. Because of course, just so everyone knows, the way California works, unlike East Coast states, we have the concept of a trust deed, which means that there's essentially a deed that's entrusted for the purpose of assuring that the debt gets paid. So there's a promissory note that's secured by typically a first or second trustee. Usually it's a first. There's all sorts of issues that come up if it's a second. And the first trust deed holder is typically a bank. It doesn't have to be a bank, but they write the standard paperwork. It's very, very aggressively in favor of, if the loan isn't paid on time, meaning the monthly installment, then a proceeding starts. But the way the proceeding starts is by notice of default that's sent and recorded and published in the courthouse. And there's a guy that publishes something called the blue sheet, at least in Santa Clara County, but they probably have something comparable in San Diego.
I'm guessing.
That basically says, look, we see that someone has received the notice of default, and it's kind of like in the residential landlord-tenant side, you get a 3-day notice to quit if you haven't paid your rent on time. That doesn't get recorded, but it gets served on you. Okay. And you have 3 days to pay your rent. Well, this is more like, hey, you haven't paid timely on sometimes 1, 2, or 3 installments. Usually they'll wait until it's more than one single failure because they know people sometimes bounce checks. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that happens. Sometimes the bank is more efficient and they catch it early. Usually they phone first because it costs them money to have a lawyer generate this stuff. It's not so automated yet. So sometimes you see that there's like 3-4 months owed, and it might even be a good loan. That is a loan like at 4%.
Yeah, right.
Good loan. And there are all these rules about, can you buy a property privately and avoid a due on sale clause that might be in the paperwork on the promissory note, where you can basically take over the loan or buy the property subject to the loan. So there's all sorts of things that are possible if you catch it early. But the tricky part is, how do you get in to see the house to see if it's not ruined on the inside,
Well,
right? How do you do that?
you can't in most cases. One of the reasons I've dove into this a little deeper, I'm trying to educate myself in that area, is that I have a client that just about, several months ago, she called me. She goes, Joe, I got this great property in San Diego as a condo, but my daughter lives down there and she told me this parameter she couldn't get inside of. But the long story short of it is she bought this in December in a foreclosure. There was a $200,000 private note. She had to come in with that. And then Chase, there's like a 337, maybe $340,000 Chase loan first.
Right.
And I'm not sure if she assumed that but the bottom line is, so for I think it's like less than 600 grand, she got a $1.3 million condo, but she could not see the inside of it though. But
So she took a risk.
she
She
took
took
a
a big risk.
risk. Yeah. But
Could
for
have been a
that
big
kind of
risk.
equity, right?
Well,
Um,
there could be mold, there could be bad planning. I
that's
mean, there's
true.
all
Yeah.
sorts of I mean, sometimes there's even intentional damage where the
Oh,
person
right.
who's getting
Yeah.
pushed out puts cement down the toilet, and
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you could have a lot of crazy stuff. Now, if you're willing to be adventurous, obviously there are people that knock on doors and
Right.
say, "Look, I'm in the neighborhood," and one of your neighbor, I mean, they sort of, you know, overstate things, but they sort of say, "Hey, one of your neighbors said you might be selling." There are people that
Hmm.
write handwritten notes. There are people that send postcards. There's all sorts of, I mean, there
Yeah.
are even people that pretend to be consultants, and California passed a statute that said, look, if you're a consultant trying to help someone renegotiate a workout, because there are
Oh.
people that actually do that, but
Mhm.
they actually sometimes do it just to get in the house to figure out whether
Oh, I
you
see.
follow
I
what I'm
see.
saying. It's a
I do.
business
I do.
exercise.
I see.
So what
Yeah,
they
I
did
see.
is they required like a registration from people that want to be in that
Ah,
business,
okay.
almost like, hey, you have to have a certification that you really are in the workout business. Because look, there are people that can rearrange their debts. I mean, you've helped people
I
indirectly.
have.
And
Yeah.
you said to people, look, why are you carrying all this credit card debt? You can kind of get a HELOC, you know, home equity line of credit, or do something smart, rearrange your affairs. And usually the last resort is bankruptcy. That is, usually people will stay in, they'll file for bankruptcy as a way to get a stay on the foreclosure. And you'll have to wait out whether the bankruptcy court holds an auction.
I guess in some way, I know it's a little bit slick and shot
Mm,
but I guess in
sure.
some way I do have a little bit of a benefit in the business side. I mean, I could legitimately contact someone, right, and say I'm in the business of
Right.
restructuring debt.
But you got to be careful because that statute kicks in,
Oh, I see. I
and
see.
then it
Okay.
says you really have a conflict of interest because you are helping
Oh,
them.
oh,
Like you'd have to get a bunch of stuff signed by them that says, yes, I still want to sell it to you. Or, you know, you sometimes people were like, hey, they're syndicates that have money. They'll prevent your record from looking bad by taking over the debt. Sometimes people do co-ownership deals
uh-huh.
where if the house is big enough, the other person gets to live in it with you. I mean, look, you can even find a new marital partner that way. I mean, crazier stories are out there, Joe. I mean, seriously, when people are losing their house, they kind of feel like, and you know, this AI thing is having an effect because there are layoff notices, and there are probably 50 to 60 to 70% of the US population lives paycheck to paycheck. And
Yeah.
so if all of a sudden someone gets a 2 week notice that you're out of here and they get their final paycheck and the final paycheck doesn't really add up to enough money to carry them, and they don't have some savings, which is why, of course, the conservative advice is always to have 6 months
Yep.
of savings so that you can tide yourself over because job searches can take that long.
Yep.
You might lose your house. Now, there are all sorts of other games that people play. They move in with their parents and Airbnb their places as a way
Uh,
to kind of generate revenue, right?
uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
sometimes, by the way, if you do an Airbnb in San Diego, sometimes, particularly if there is a notice of default against it, and maybe the person is sort of bailing water, you can start a direct negotiation that says, hey, I like your house from the Airbnb side. Are you
Oh,
interested in selling it? And if you have
Interesting.
enough research, right? I mean, if you're really savvy in figuring out what's going on, sometimes you can get someone who says, "Yeah, I can't get a real estate." A lot of real estate people won't take on a house that's in a notice of default situation because they worry that they won't be able to sell it fast enough. And then the person will say, "Well, you didn't sell it fast enough, and I lost all my equity," right? Because if you're a real
Yeah.
estate agent, you don't represent that you're going to get a sale to happen like in 3 days. I mean, there are a few people that are saying they can actually find an offer or get an offer regardless. You could argue those people are sort of saying, yeah, well, we have money and we have enough money to at least pay off the loan, assuming the
There's
house
a
has some equity in it.
very interesting dynamic right now. I really, like you know, you listen to a lot of stuff, you get a lot of information. And I actually spent a few hours with some guys from Google, and another one was from NVIDIA and so on. And we had just this AI conversation. So
Right.
as much as they embrace it and endorse it and say it's here, they also said that they also were telling me it was like they said they're eating each other. Like everybody, any kind of new AI company coming out, before they even spend all the money and start and do all that, they've already been eaten up, or someone already bypassed them. I don't. They were just trying to explain to me that.
I think what they were saying, Joe, is that a company will get started, like even bootstrapped,
Right.
and then the idea gets taken over by a bigger player, whether
Yeah.
it's Meta, like
Yeah.
in other words, it's a little bit like what happened years ago when people would say Microsoft can instantly kill a company that like adds a feature like a spell checker or a
Yeah.
grammar
Right.
checker to Word. They instantly see if that becomes successful and they turn around and announce that they're going to add that feature, even if they
Maybe.
don't really
Yeah.
do it right
Okay.
away. They freeze the
I
market,
see. I see.
right?
Okay. That's
So,
what they probably meant. Yeah.
and
Uh,
there was a quote from Sam Altman recently that OpenAI has so many projects under works that, hey, if you do a startup, don't be surprised if we kill you. It's not intentional, but we have a lot of secret projects going on all the time, and we decide how to roll them out. And just be aware that if it's something that's really interesting, we probably have a project going. It's sort of another way of saying they don't really want parasites leveraging off of their tools if they can provide the product or service themselves. They're sort of trying to direct what people do away from the core technology that they're providing. They don't
yeah.
want to see that. They want to see people sort of build applications on top of their stuff as opposed to provide some alternative to their stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I just got to believe that we're going to have a pullback here, and maybe they both at the same time, maybe simultaneously, maybe different. But I just have to tell you, and I know we say this for a long period of time, but like on Lisa Street, she lives in a nice neighborhood in Willow Glen, but
Right,
there's these tiny houses, like a 2 bedroom, 1 bath,
right,
that like a 5,000 square foot lot. Even it's not even, it's a nice neighborhood, but I would just still argue it's not Saratoga, Los Gatos,
right,
Palo Alto. It's just
right,
different. It's San
right,
Jose.
right.
And it sells for over $1 million, and I
Yeah.
keep looking to I go, even if you have the money, that's got to stop pretty soon. Like, how far does that go
I
before,
don't know. I
right?
can tell you, I had this little house in Palo Alto, 25 by maybe 120. So half the size of the lot you just described is 5,000 square feet. It was essentially 2,500 square feet. And it had this little cottage on it that couldn't have been more than 1,250 square feet, basically
Yeah.
single story, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and a garage. And I always thought, man, that property will never get into the six figures. When I bought it, it was 30, $50,000 max. And
Uh
when I sold it, it was like 1.2 million. And when I
huh.
visited the person who bought that place, because I said, "Well, where do you think it is now?" He said, "Oh, I've doubled the value is like
Oh
2.5
my
million now."
gosh. Oh
So
my gosh.
literally, we're talking $2,000 a square foot, Joe,
Well,
in
yeah,
in
and I'm
Palo
not.
Alto.
No, no, and I'm not trying to. I'm saying that in my estimation, and I saw this on the Mortgage Meltdown percentage
Mhm,
wise. I did a bunch of shows on it. So
mhm.
I would argue like Palo Alto is so much different, and just like we saw homes in Stockton and Lodi and
Mhm.
weird
Right,
places that were going
right,
crazy. That's kind of my point. Like So at one point, this pullback, Palo Alto might have a 10% pullback, right? Or a 15, but you're going to have some areas that are probably going to have 30, 40, maybe. I don't
Mm.
know.
Well, usually the really high end, like, $10 million property, there's just rarefied air there. There's just
That's
not that
true.
many
That's
not
true.
that many
Yeah.
buyers.
Right.
So we see it, or I've seen at least in the 40, 45 years that I've been in Northern California and graduated from law school. Yeah, at least 45 years ago. Stinson Beach has gone through at least over that period, at least 6 cycles of ups and downs. And the really high end in Stinson Beach
Uh-huh.
will essentially either be taken off the market or there'll be some serious reduction. So,
I see.
I
Okay.
remember at one time it used to be at Stinson Beach, which of course is not that easy to get to, right?
No, it's not.
You
No, that's
really
true.
have to do a lot of twisty turny driving up Route
Right.
1 to get there. I mean, it's not that many miles as the crow flies. And someday when there really is an electric helicopter, all those properties are going to go way up in value because it's going to be a lot easier to get there.
Yeah.
I
Right.
remember when, yeah, you could buy a place on the beach for $1 million and people thought that was expensive. The
Uh-huh.
price on the beach now, the average price on the beach is north of 5 million.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that is not for a perfectly fixed up place. The perfectly fixed up places or the newly constructed places are north of 10 million.
Oh
Now,
my
if
God.
there's a big
Wow.
storm, and there have been some really big storms, and there are people that get into a distress mode, you could see a 50% reduction. You could. Now,
Interesting.
are you going to feel good about going in at that price after a big storm when there's been some damage? I don't know. I can tell you there are a lot of people that worry that climate change is making a big difference on the beach. And the
Mm-hmm.
beach can get whacked pretty hard, and there can be a lot of flooding, and there's no flood insurance. I mean, maybe it
Yeah.
exists, but most people can't afford it. So I use that as a litmus test. I think Palo Alto is a really special place because it's so close
Yeah.
to Stanford.
Stanford. Yeah. Yeah.
The students will pay, students have rich parents or students can afford it on their loans, whatever, they'll pay top rents. So
Yeah.
I remember someone that I knew that was living and working in Oregon said, no, I don't buy any rental properties in Oregon. I buy them in Palo Alto because on average I see 15% a year regular
Wow.
returns.
Wow.
15%, Joe.
Wow. Wow.
That's pretty amazing, right? If we think about
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
And of course, it's leveraged because they buy it when typically the mortgage rates, the trust
Right.
deed rates are
Right.
under 5%.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. We'll have to wait and see. What you and I both know is everything can't continue to go north for it can't continue, right? Or I guess maybe it can. Maybe that's a ridiculous
I
statement.
mean,
Maybe it can.
are you set on San Diego? I'm kind of curious how you're thinking about.
I've just always liked San Diego. It's still California and it's still
Mhm,
expensive. You could get a little more for your money, certainly in the
mhm,
Bay Area, because I love the fact that there's so many beach towns. Like,
mhm,
unlike this area, you got
mhm,
Santa Cruz and Capital. I don't
mhm,
really like the beaches around here. But on the other
mhm,
hand, you have so many beach towns. And we visited them again. I spent 3 days there last week.
mhm. Yeah,
My daughter's down there. And
she's
so,
down there
yeah,
working. She's working down there.
she's working and living down there. And
Mhm.
I've had an interest there for several years.
Is she
So
renting down there?
she is renting down there. And that's another reason I kind of keeping an eye on foreclosure stuff because, technically, if I get something, I could have some built-in renters right away with her and her roommate.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
you
Well, didn't
know,
you tell me that you found something that was really unique and you were looking at
I
doing a
did.
deal,
I did,
right?
and I went and looked at it, and I don't think he's going to do it now. It's a client of mine that bought a beautiful property in Carlsbad. It's a big lot. It's over a half
Mhm.
acre, and it's a great neighborhood. It's just basically a tear down, and he's going to divide the lot, and it's going to take some time. He wondered if I wanted to, build something, but I don't know. At this point in my life, I'm not sure I'm interested in something like that.
Well,
you know.
let me give you a hint of what I think some people do, and they do it effectively. But whether you can have it occur will probably take a few lunches with bankruptcy lawyers down in San Diego. So what you do is you go into the federal bankruptcy court in San
Uh huh.
Diego. and
Okay.
you just hang out and look at the lawyers going in and out of court and try to strike and go to the cafeteria, try to strike up a conversation with a bankruptcy lawyer or
Ah,
several or many,
I
and
see.
literally say, look, I'm an investor, I've got cash, I'm looking for situations of distressed real estate that I can bid on.
Mm-hmm.
You might be representing someone, or you might be a bank,
Hmm.
you might be
Oh,
representing a bank. And that is the way. It's
wow.
kind of the
Okay.
dirty secret that we're now sort of telling people, but of course they don't want to do the work. You have to actually get to know your friendly bankruptcy lawyer, and they will
Yeah.
see you as a resource because they
Interesting.
will say, oh yeah, I've got this situation with this client. Yeah, they need some help. If you're willing to kind of give them some time to exit and give them a fair, slightly above or slightly below
Yeah.
whatever the negotiated number is, that's a way to get legitimate access. Now they're represented by
Interesting.
counsel, so you don't have all the problems of knocking on doors and that
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
thing, right?
Right, right. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I
And
don't mind doing that.
you
Yeah.
can do it the hard way, which is try to look at all the bankruptcy court notices, but getting to know 5 or 10 bankruptcy lawyers, I mean, there's a lot of them in San Diego, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, literally, you'd have to tell them who you are. And I know some people who actually would do a mass mailing. They would create an LLC that says, we buy distressed real estate, and they do it a mass
Mm-hmm.
mailing, and they would probably send a gift of some sort, like, they'd include a pen or they'd include a pad or a calendar or something. So the
Mm-hmm.
person knows who you are. If you want to start to be in that business, I mean, you're doing it to get a deal on what might be your future residence. There also probably are some real estate companies that try to advertise that they can get a full price offer or they can get an offer of some sort. And if you can look at their advertising and you could say, I'm kind of interested when you get a listing that's kind of interesting, I could be a private buyer. And sometimes they just created their own little private market to some degree
Mm,
without even going on MLS, right?
I see. Okay. Those are some good ideas.
Man,
Yeah.
you have to spend time with all these people though and get to know them. And of course they'll tell you this neighborhood is gentrifying, or I think the greatest signal is, oh yeah, this neighborhood is turning gay or lesbian. That's a big that's a big forward signal, in my opinion. No, seriously. Or there's a Whole Foods that's about to be built.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or there's a
Yeah.
Pete's Coffee, or there's a Starbucks, or
Oh,
there's,
okay.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. 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 That's a good idea. I'm in, not any super hurry. I also just keeping an eye on these markets, and I have a couple of real estate agents down there tracking stuff for me, and then I'm following a few. But we'll see. But I just there's seems to be pullback everywhere, even around here, and
Well,
I don't
Joe,
know.
I got to tell you one thing if you want to broaden your horizon. I
Yeah.
heard a presentation yesterday, might have been the day before yesterday. This medical doctor in San Juan, Puerto Rico, has bought up a bunch of beachfront in San Juan. He's got
Uh-huh.
investors. He's going to build like 3 or 4 towers. He's got a name for this thing. He is trying to get people to see that he's got a program of rejuvenation for people over 60, maybe even
Mm-hmm.
over 55, that he says if you buy a condo in one of my high rises,
Mm-hmm.
I will show you how the tax savings that I will get you
Oh.
on your
Mm.
federal taxes by doing a business out of Puerto Rico. And I throw in to the project price all of the rejuvenation services for keeping you healthy. And so
Really?
so
Wow.
he's baking in like a gym and red light therapy
Wow.
and
Almost like
massage,
wellness living
wellness, a
almost. Yeah.
wellness living, like
Yeah.
not a
Interesting.
retirement home yet. I mean,
Right.
eventually it'll become a retirement home. I mean, he's aiming for people that are still working and have income.
Right. Right.
But he's saying, look, I'm going to build this blue zone,
Uh-huh.
what would have been called historically a blue zone
Right.
because people seem to live to 100 or 110. And
Yeah.
I'm going to do it right in a place that is effectively a tax haven while you still keep your American passport. He's
Mm.
got kind of a goofy name for it, I thought. I mean, I remember saying to him, it's something like Aura, ORA Gold. I mean, it's
Hmm.
sort of like this is like the place where your gold, you effectively you generated more gold in life, I suppose. I
Uh,
mean, it should have a different name, in my opinion, than that. If the real goal is to help people stay healthy, but
uh-huh.
he was very credible. He was like in his 40s, and he was like,
Interesting.
I realized that 330 days of sunshine. Of course, some of the remaining 30 or 35 days are like monsoons and hurricanes, and
Yeah,
takes all the electricity out.
right.
Today is the anniversary of Katrina. You
Is it
remember the
really? Wow.
Hurricane Katrina?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Wow.
There was stuff on the radio today about how people still have not recovered from that hurricane down
Man, oh
in
man.
down in New Orleans. Right?
Wow.
They
Yeah,
they
speaking
said
of,
they said their houses have been slabbed, not slammed, but slabbed, meaning the house was gone. All that was left was a slab.
yeah,
They
speaking
never
of
never able to rebuild.
in real estate, you're probably seeing it. I'm seeing the price reductions in some areas of Florida, I guess, especially the high rises and the
Hmm.
condos and all that
Hmm.
stuff, because of the insurance and HOAs and all that. I guess they're just really coming down, huh?
Well, you should come over here because I got a call. I haven't gone to see this place yet.
Uh-huh.
I got a call from a woman who moved to India. She's originally from India. She
Uh-huh.
has a place on the beach in Florida, near the beach in Florida, in
Uh-huh.
a big high rise, and she can't sell it. And her
Really?
agent said, we keep lowering the price, still can't sell it. And so the
Huh.
listing is expiring. And she said to
Interesting.
me, can you help me find someone, maybe someone from California that wants to move to Florida? Of course, Florida's got certain benefits like
Sure.
no state
No
taxes.
state
The
tax. Yeah.
beaches, the beaches are beautiful. The water is warm. You can get into the water almost all year long, all year round.
You know where it is, where it's located?
Yeah, I can get you the address. You can look it up on Zillow. Maybe
Okay.
she hasn't aggressively reduced the price. It probably has some issues on the inside. It's been empty for a while,
Yeah.
but it's the same drill, right? Because you're
Yeah.
dealing with where do you want to live, and most people they want to live near family and friends.
Yeah.
If
That's
your
true.
family
Yeah.
is moving to San Diego,
Yeah.
you're going to have that bias. The
Yeah.
truth is, the truth is, as your kids get older, they don't have time for you. That's the real
Well,
truth. They
that's
don't.
true. No, that's true too. Well, I mean, I'm yeah, I'm not doing anything urgently or yeah, we'll see. I mean, I have a good situation right now. It is weird, I'll have to say, like I said before. I've I've always owned real estate since I've been 27 years old, and at the
Mhm.
current time, I don't own any,
Well, if
which is
you're if you're these days, if you're in cryptocurrency, you're probably making a lot more money than any appreciation on real estate,
yeah. I
right?
can't. Yeah, but I can't tell you between COVID and this divorce, I really am. I'm finally living, doing the things I've wanted to do for a long
Hmm.
time that you know how it is. You work for 45 years and you're
Hmm.
raising families and you're focused on all these kinds of things. And I woke up a couple of years ago, COVID started it with me and like, I don't want to wait till I'm 85 to go enjoy life. I don't.
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
going to do it.
No,
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 I'm not going
Joe,
to do it.
Joe,
Yeah.
Joe, let me tell you something. Whenever I'm on a flight, I count the number of wheelchairs that, of
Yeah.
course, they
Yeah.
cart these people in ahead of you and you have to
Yeah.
wait. I mean,
Right.
of course, I try to be respectful, but it has grown from just 3 to 6 to 12 to 18. And I say to myself,
Yeah.
I don't want to be on a wheelchair being carted
No.
into a plane.
No.
I can't, it's so embarrassing. And I think to myself, probably when you get into your 90s, there's no way but to get carted in with a wheelchair. So you got to do the best travel you're going to do before you
I
turn 90
I
and
do.
probably
Yep.
before you turn
Yep.
80,
No,
right?
that's my goal before I turn 80. I would even say I'll be 65 in November. And yeah, I would even say the next 10 years I mean, I want to get massive travel and experiences underway versus, yeah, I do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
You
So,
don't want to be, you don't want to be, let's face it, when you go on a flight and you have your own little roller bag, even if you have a first class seat, they don't help you put the goddamn roller bag above they look at you. And I remember saying to one, a flight attendant, a male, big, strong, 6 foot
yeah,
5, 250 pound guy. You mind putting my roller? Oh, we're not allowed to do that.
Oh my
You're not
God.
allowed to put the roller bag into the storage locker that's above first class seat.
That's
We're
crazy.
having service. Oh, I can get you a glass of champagne. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, I mean, I had a roller bag that had a couple of computers in it. It was actually kind of heavy, and I thought, oh, I can ask this guy. And he was like, no, we're not allowed to do it.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
it's
that's
like it's
amazing.
like against union rules or something.
That's amazing.
I mean, okay, can you hang up my coat? Remember that when they used to be able to put your coat on a hanger?
Oh man, well
It's stunning.
that's a whole nother story. The airlines. I tell people the story all the time, especially when Lisa and I travel. I just think it's funny now because now, when I had that wristband idea of scanning everything, barcode
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
bill
it's all done.
everything.
It's all done. It's all there now. All
It's
your
all
idea is
it's all
manifested.
it's all there now,
It's all there
and
now on an iPhone, right? It's all there on
on
a smartphone.
an iPhone. No
And
more
they look
cash
at
on.
you like
Yeah,
you're crazy if you have a paper ticket and you're
yeah, I
trying to
know.
scan the paper ticket and it's all crumpled up. They look at
Right.
you like, why isn't it on your phone? What's wrong with you? What planet are you on?
Yeah. Where are you? Are you in Florida? Or are you back in
Yeah.
the?
Well, we just came back from New York.
Oh, did you?
We were,
Okay.
we were in New York. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in New York. We'll talk about it some other time, but you want to
Okay.
talk about real estate prices that have gone through the roof.
Are they
Still,
still skyrocketing, huh? In
still
New York?
skyrocketing, still very, very high in Manhattan and really throughout all five boroughs. And maybe
Wow.
maybe we're going to see this stuff crater. I have to tell you, there were a few people I met in New York on this trip who said,
Uh,
we think a major, major, major correction is about to happen.
yeah.
Literally within the next 3 months, a major, major tsunami of real estate is going to hit the market based on essentially white collar people being laid off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big
I
time,
keep.
saying
Yeah.
we don't need you anymore. We don't need your shuffling of paper anymore. We can get that done through automation, whether it's AI or anything else. We just don't need you to be moving paper from one place to another.
Amazing.
And I think
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the beginning of the major tsunami. And I don't know what happens. People will
There's
probably have to go into completely different professions.
there's different. There's got to be a correction. Again, I'll just take my sample size, and maybe you're hearing it
Mhm.
too. I have at least a half a dozen friends that are really qualified high tech people. I mean, very
Hmm.
qualified.
Hmm.
They're having a hard time finding jobs.
Yeah.
And granted, they're older. They're in their 55, 60, so that's probably part of it. They don't want the old
Mhm.
guys anymore. But
No more. No.
I mean,
No.
and I think you're right. I think there's major cuts coming, and no one wants to. It's a whisper, right? No one wants to
Hmm.
announce it because then it spooks everyone.
Hmm.
But why would you need why would you need marketing? Why would you need? There's so many divisions of a company. I don't even know why you would need it anymore with this the evident of AI.
Mm.
I don't
Well,
know.
you hope to get something more creative, but a lot of people are not that creative. Not as creative. I mean, if I had to give any advice to a high school student today, I would say study all of the people who have studied creativity.
Mm,
Dr. Edward DeBono, Rick Rubin, a bunch of people have looked at essentially neuropsychology and
mm-hmm.
neurochemistry and
Mm-hmm.
how does the brain work and get to be the master of your brain and
Mm,
get to be the master of your creativity because the grunt work is going away and you don't want to do grunt work. You
no,
want to be
no.
creative. You want to come up with an idea. You want to come up with an angle. You want to come up with a way of doing things that are different. So study all those people. And all of them
Mm,
have podcasts now. You don't even have to spend money on stuff.
yeah.
Get an Audible account and listen for free to the first 10 minutes of most of these books. And the first 10 minutes of most of the book reveals, just like on Kindle, you get the first chapter
Right,
free.
right,
The
right.
first chapter often is the whole book, if you
Yeah.
look at what the book is about.
Right. Yeah.
But
No,
Joe,
it's a,
we're going to keep tracking this because I think we're going to see something really big, and it's going to have a bit of a domino effect. And it really could be something like what's going on in DC, where now we've got a federal army or National Guard or something that's taken over the city. And I think
mm-hmm.
a lot of people will just move out and actually change jobs. And the other advice, frankly, is you probably, if you have a government job or any type of job, you have to be thinking about what's your backup plan, what's your safety net, what's your parachute. You can't be thinking it's going to be permanent or
Yeah.
forever. You just can't.
I have to
You
tell
can't
you,
think that way.
yeah, on a side note, I have to tell you, I wasn't planning on this,
Hmm.
but, and it was weird to begin with, but I have to say, I'm enjoying a more simplified life.
Well, it's beautiful.
You
That's a
know,
beautiful thing.
and it's hard for a person who is very creative and always having ideas and always,
Hmm.
it's hard, right? I mean, it's hard. So you keep learning, keep studying, so none of that stops. But I have to say that the simplification, even Lisa's kind of funny. Lisa's like, we things are going really well, and we've been together a couple of years, and she's got a
Hmm.
store, so she's physically, and so I'm telling her all these things I'm going to do, and she's looking at me going, "Are you crazy?"
Well, you probably got a little bit of your brother. Isn't your younger brother always taking kind of a freer path, or is he
Well,
not
my
doing that?
my my older brother, he's been
Oh,
in the
brother.
wellness business his entire life.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's still going hard with that, and I have to say he walks the talk. He still looks really good for his age.
Is
I
he?
mean, he looks
Is
like
he?
he's
Is he in Santa Clara County? Where is he?
no, he's down in San Luis Obispo County,
Okay.
and yeah, they've lived in Arroyo Grande, a little city right near Pismo, for about 12 years now, and he's got a wellness clinic out there and kind of a wellness coaching thing.
I'm
He does
surprised
well.
you're not. I'm surprised you're not looking there.
Yeah, it's a place I thought about, but I'll tell you, one of the things I don't like about that area is it's there's not a whole lot. It's a great weather, it's great little towns, but there's not a whole lot to do, not a bunch of golf courses. And by the way, I want to be near a airport that I could get almost anywhere from too.
Yeah. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, San Diego, like, you can almost go anywhere now. Matter of fact, they're just finishing that major expansion at that airport that's supposed to open up any day now.
Mm.
And I didn't realize it's that busy of airport to begin with, but it is one of the busiest airports in the United States.
Well, you might decide to move to Mexico. Who knows?
Maybe.
A lot
You never
cheaper. A
know.
lot cheaper to live in Mexico. I tell you that much. Way cheaper.
I know.
Way cheaper.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, well, okay, so I'll just plan on those dates because I'm going to start. Should I
Yeah,
wait
get your tickets. No,
should I wait? I should go ahead
get
and
your
get my
tickets.
flights now, right?
I
I should
would,
probably,
I
yeah,
would, I would get
yeah.
them. I think you can get a pretty low cost. I go on Skiplag these days, SKIPLAGGED, and
Skip
I
leg,
look at
okay.
yeah, and they sometimes have some amazing rates. It just knocks
Okay.
your socks off how much cheaper it is than going through the airlines. I mean, all
Okay.
the major airlines, Alaska, United, American, they all have SFO to SJD, but the
Yeah, they even
pricing can
have
be very different.
yeah, for me
Even
out of the
Southwest has flights.
yeah, I just checked the other day. For me, Alaska has good service right out of San Jose, which is easier for me, and
Right.
they're pretty
Right.
reasonable if I get them soon. So I think I'll go ahead and jump on them then.
I would do it.
Uh,
I would do
yeah.
it, Joe.
Okay.
All right.
We'll
Great.
do. Nice catching up with you, Jack.
See you later. Take care.
You too.
Bye bye.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.